Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the Q2 version of all the palettes that I have used to the entirety from April to the end of June. I am trying to use all of my makeup, which doesn't sound great, does it? But I'm trying to use all of my palettes because I have a tendency to pan and not use everything else, or dip. So I want to use every shade in every palette. Don't know how long it'll take, but I'm just tracking it, and then I started sharing it with you last quarter and you guys asked me to do it again, so we're doing it again. So let's get on into it. I have 79 eyeshadow palettes and I love them all. So let's just start with the first things first. So the first palette we use is the Mini Star, and it's truly a beautiful little palette. Absolutely beautiful. I love palettes that are this size. Like, there's 5 shades in it. The price range is more like accessible than the rest of her collection or the rest of her series. Like, it's similar in price to the Huda, but yeah, I really like the formula in here. I dipped into it obviously more than using all of the shades. I think most people's favorite shade is this greeny one up here. I like the nudie one because I can wear it all the time with a pop of colour. It's really lovely. I really like it. I'm glad I used it all. The only thing I've noticed is sometimes I'm not ready to put away the palette, you know? I'm just not ready. So the second palette that I used to its entirety, or like reached all of the shades on, was the Natasha Denona Gold palette. Absolutely beautiful to look at. This was the first palette that I really wanted. And oops, my finger is really sticking into it. This is the first palette I really wanted. I wasn't entirely, even though I'm drawn to these shades over here, these greeny ones, and this clear glittery one. My favorite was actually the nude side in terms of performance, more so. Because I love green colors. I really do really enjoy the Natasha Denona formula, and I like the way you can take the shades out and bring them with you, because that actually really excites me. I'm like a child. I just love playing with my makeup, but I always put rules on myself with panning that I don't fully allow myself to do it. I'm doing a pan that palette and a pan in every palette. Next year I do want to do the Project Level Up and a pan that palette as well. So am I going to get this balance? Because sometimes you just want to pull a palette out and just destroy it. I don't mean break it, but like you just want to love the crap out of it. But yes, this is a beautiful one. No, I didn't clean it up because I personally am a person who enjoys seeing used makeup. I just like that. It's so juicy and I love it. But yes, that is the second palette I used, and it makes me so excited, as you can probably tell. And that was in April. We're still in April. What else did I use in April? Oh no, I only used 2 palettes fully in April. Bearing in mind I am panning as well, and my makeup usage had dropped. And then we're on to May. Oh my god, we're on to May. So the only palette that I actually fully used in May, like all of the shades, like bearing in mind I'm dipping into other shadows in my collection and I'm panning, but it only goes on this list when the whole thing is used. So the Melt Smoke Sessions. I have only purchased this palette in terms of palettes from Melt. I am interested in that neutral one. I don't know what it's called. Is it Mary Jane? I don't know. But the formula for me is just difficult. I think it's beautiful. It looks so bloody juicy. I do have a little bit of difficulty with these 2 mattes being a bit patchy, and I do have to work differently than I have for any other shimmer to get that to stick to my eyelid. The main thing I've noticed is it doesn't really work with a finger for me. It doesn't really work with a brush for me. It doesn't work with a sprayed brush or a like smudger brush. It mainly works with a, you know, those sponge tip applicators. That just seems to be the best for me. I do love this palette. I think she's a beauty. For some reason this shade for me isn't as pigmented as everyone else's from the get-go. I don't know why. I do think it's beautiful. I love these dual tone shades. It is gorgeous. It's just a bit hard. So if I was to ever buy, also the packaging is very heavy. If I was to buy another palette from them, I would just make sure, as you probably should anyway, love the colour story, because that formula is just something I'm not quite, that's a bit of effort, you know what I mean? It's just a bit of effort. I'm feeling a bit lazy. So that was the only one for May. Then for June, from here on out is June. So the first one is this packed McGrath Sublime, Ecstacy Sublime palette that I got as a gift. I took this shade out of here and put it into one of my Colourpops. Is it 16 pan or is it 12? Whatever they are. I had a crappy, you know those matte with glitters shade. I took the brown out of there, put this one in instead. These aren't magnetic, but they fit in those slots. So I put that in there where I can get more use out of it. But God, I really love this too. This greeny shade down here is, I don't know if it's a spot on dupe, but it's pretty close to the shade in the Mel Thompson and Sydney Grace palette. Sorry, I just like zoned out there. But I think this is beautiful. I know I saw someone on YouTube panning this palette and I forgot to ask them, but if you've panned this, what is that like? Like, is it hard to pan? Because the shades in here are just beautiful. They're all shimmer shades. I did use this brownie shade as like a stereotypical matte. This shade here, this red shade, is a duochrome shade and it has a beautiful shift to it and it's a noticeable shift. I do think that this palette is just beautiful. Yeah, it's like a red to gold. Very, very noticeable. Very, very beautiful. I really like this palette. It's actually really nice because I always wondered what the hype was with Pat, particularly on our bigger palettes, and then I'm trying this. I've tried our bigger palettes, obviously I have some now, which is great, but this is very, very nice. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely love it. I do love it. So that was the first one, and then the next one I reached entirely in June was this Dominique Cosmetics Latte 2 that I bought. I don't know when I bought this. It smells like cream, milk. I don't know. But here it is here. And you know what's funny? I've used every shade in here, right? It does not look at all. I haven't used it a lot, but I have used every shade in here. And the DCs don't even look disrupted. I like this palette as well. Obviously, I like everything I show you, I love. Otherwise, I would be at a point where I just need to declutter because I want, since I'm trying to find a balance between usage and panning, I need to make sure that what I have is stuff that I love. It's very hard for me to declutter, but that's what I'm trying to do. This is beautiful, neutrals with a pop of colour, but I can wear this in work if I'm in the office. But this is beautiful. I really do like her. This was the first palette that I got from her to see what the hype was. I get destroyed by people hyping things up. Destroyed. What is the next palette? The Naughty Nude. I bloody love this palette. This is the Huda Naughty Nude. This was my first big palette from Huda Beauty. I had two of these small ones that I got from Porrick and I really liked these, but some shades were patchy, but I always really liked these. But now I finally do get it. The bigger palettes are, in my opinion, which seems to coincide with other people's opinions because that's where I heard it first. The formula in this is noticeably better than the formula in the small ones. And I like, for the 98% of the time, the formula in the small one, bar those two patchy shades that I just ended up using up fully as an eyeliner. But yes, these are this formula is very noticeably beautiful. And this is the palette that I struggled with putting away. I have no desire to put this palette away. I have a desire to stop using everything I'm using and use this solely until I just get it out of my system. It's just, now I have used every shade, but I have used every shade in here a good few times. It's just really, really bloody lovely. It's just so lovely. This matte shade in Hypnotic is just such a blendable dream. This is a really lovely palette. It's nude, but rosy nude. That seems to be her vibe anyway. But it's just, even these two creamy shades I've used, even the slippery shade, granted I don't get the slippery shade just yet, but I enjoy something different going on. I actually have used the slippery shade on my lips. I actually kind of liked it on my lips, so I'll try it again. Like I'm going to use everything, but oh, I just love it. It's just fabulous. And this palette, I'm like, will I bring this on holidays, or what if something bad happens to it? But when I go on holidays, I like to bring things I like, and like that I allow myself. I do really like this Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette. I did buy it because, again, it was extremely hyped and it was in people's year-end videos, and I was looking at Paulina use hers so much, so then I was just like, I just need to. And I'm glad that I did, because it's really, really lovely. And I bought this. What made me go and buy it is I bought two palettes for the price of one. They had that offer on. I saw it on Morgan Turner's community post, I think it was. And then I went and bought it because I wanted them, and then I was getting one palette for free essentially. Okay, so the next palette that I used up to, it's in like used all the shades, is the Star Wars from Pat McGrath one that I got as a gift from the beautiful and really kind person, Christine Ann. I'll never forget that day that I opened that box. It was just so much joy and so extravagant, and thank you. But this is I do love Star Wars. Pork actually got me into Star Wars years ago, and oh god, the formula. Again, I was just like, is everyone, like, I wasn't getting the hype with the Pat formula, particularly with Indie. I do get the hype with Natasha Denona. Her formula I do enjoy, but the formula in this is just lovely. Like, that shade there is divine. Divine. Like, there's even this, you know, those shades that I tend not to like, those sparkly, I personally do like glitter shades, but it's not matte, it's like satin with sparkles. I used it as a matte and my outer V, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Formula in here is really, oh, it's gorgeous. That shade is just so smushy and juicy and wonderful. This is Discontinued, but these are all shades like, oh, it's just, I liked the color story, but when I started using it, I was like, oh god, the formula in here is just beautiful. And I like that there's no like string, it's just open, close, but still lovely. And I must admit, look at that packaging. Look at that, the rise of a Skywalker. Skywalker, why am I struggling with words so much? But that is fabulous. The next palette for June is this Give Me Glow and Pastel Dreams. I've been using this all year because it's my main pastel palette, but I used all of the shades. This was expensive for me to get to Ireland because most of the cost of this was actually shipping. The packaging is heavy. I think this is for like connoisseurs. I don't think if I was in my old I like makeup stage, I wouldn't, because it's too expensive. But last year I was giving out about my lack of pastels. I actually tend to use this a lot, surprisingly, particularly for like the matte shades to build other looks. I love the mattes and the shimmers, but the shimmers are like a centerpiece of a look. But the mattes kind of go with everything in my collection. I use the pink a lot, this matte pink a lot. It is beautiful. It really is very I would be terrified to pan this because it would take forever. I have no desire to. I use it quite frequently actually. It is on my desk at all times since I purchased it, because even though it's like this, I actually use it a lot. It is, actually I have it on me today. I'm not really happy with today's look, to be honest, but yeah, I have it on me today. I love this. I really do love it. I love that they're paired in little mattes and shimmers for the same color story. It is beautiful. I love this. I don't regret buying this one bit, and I'm very grateful that I could afford to buy it at the time, because it was a bit stupid for cost on shipping. The shipping is just painful, but to me now it was worth it for me because it did fill a gap that I had. It's all in the one place, and the formula is really lovely. It's just really truly lovely. And I was missing a yellow at the time as well, because I had to get rid of a yellow that I had, the only yellow, true yellow that I had. But this is beautiful, and it's now, oh, don't put it away. I gotta film my close-ups. And the last palette that I finished this quarter using fully was the Colourpop and Mint to Be. This is obviously from Colourpop. I don't know why I have not taken that sticker off. It's probably because I have BAB on my nails and I can't get it. But she's lovely. She is lovely. The tones in here are like, I love green eyeshadow. I just love green eyeshadow, but there are tones of mattes in here that I don't actually have. And I have a silly amount of green palettes. I just love green, and that's okay too, girl. That's okay. You gotta do what you gotta do. You love it, you have it, you might as well love it. The money is already spent. But the tones in here are different in terms of the mattes. I'd say the shimmers too. There is one shimmer in here that I know I have something similar, and it's in this, except this is more pigmented. But this is beautiful. I really like it. I really am glad that I got it. We have a cat approaching, but I'm glad that I got it. I love it. I'm surprised I managed to use this because my makeup usage has dropped this quarter due to me starting exercise. Okay, so I have 79 eyeshadow palettes in my collection. I used 13 in the first quarter and I used 9 in the second quarter. I have 22 of 79 used fully. I have dipped into, not all of my palettes yet this year, but I have dipped into a lot of them, just haven't used all of the shades yet. Particularly while I'm panning, that's good. I'm at least getting more use now than I was in previous years. However, it's still not fully authentic because I'm forced back into that bloody palette that I picked, which I love the formula of, but I just need to figure that out. But I am glad that I got to 9, considering, you know, my usage, but also a lot of the first quarter, a good chunk of them were quads as well. So I should calculate how many eyeshadows I actually used versus the last time and put that up there for you guys. But thank you so much for watching. I will do it the next quarter. I am tracking it anyway, so I might as well keep it up for this year. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you the next time. Take care. Bye.